Hello everybody. So as you can see, I have a package behind me. Yes, it's a computer, but it's the first Apple computer that I have ever bought. And then let me explain why. So here's why. I had a job interview somewhere and they do Mac stuff. And I know very, very little. I know some of the hardware, but the hardware is a little bit different than the PC stuff. Yes, it's a board, but the way they configure it is a little bit different. So this is a Mac Mini. If you ever see Lenovo computers, modern computers running Windows 10, they call them tiny PCs. This is basically kind of what started the tiny PC stuff, even though it's an Apple product. So let's get started and open it. So I bought this from eBay. And it was only 150 bucks. It is not new. I want to stress that it is not a new machine. A new computer, an Apple computer, will run you $1,500. And as much as I wanted to do that, I do not have $1,500 laying around. So I went on eBay and bought the Mac Mini for 100 bucks. As far as I know, they don't make it anymore. So. And when I bought this was like a first, second gen computer. But that doesn't matter to me. I just want to know some of the stuff that's in there and some of how the operating system works. I know very roughly how the operating system works. It's not like Windows. It's Unix based. I said this in one of my other videos. Unix is the original operating system. AT&T was the first phone company to use it. So anyway. Without further ado, let's get this open. And I appreciate the way the guy packaged this. So, I have my invoice. I will not be showing that because there's personal information on there. So what this computer has is a 2.4 gigahertz processor, 4 gigs of RAM, which is pretty much what my test PCs are built, a 320 gig hard drive, and an NVIDIA graphics card. So before I get into that, there's something called Parallel, and what that does is it allows me to run Windows on Apple hardware. So you get something like this. Remember, the power supply is on the board itself. Yes, this is a desktop machine, but it's a very tiny desktop machine. So. Oh, this is the newer one. This is good. I thought it was a first gen. This is not a first gen. This is a later model. This is a later model machine. Now they have this in here, so what you do is you turn it like that. It comes off. And here's all the components. So, and you're looking at this going, what is this? So, this is the Wi-Fi card. That's what this is. This is the CPU fan, and this is the memory. Now, the memory is what you call a SODIMM. I know I explained this with laptops. This is basically a desktop computer built with laptop parts. So, I'll show the backside in a minute. So, this is a laptop style CPU fan, laptop style memory, and this is the wireless card right here. What's nice is these two screws come out and you can pull it out. Now, I like this because it's all very simple to fix if I ever had to swap anything out. I will not be swapping out the hard drive at this moment because I don't need to, but if I do, it's pretty easy to do. So this is a newer style machine here. There you go, and it doesn't come off. So, if I look at the back side here, I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, you have your headphone, you have your microphone, you have what looks like an SD card. Is that a vent? I think that's a vent. 4 USB ports, display port, HDMI, FireWire, Ethernet, and the power. Now, FireWire is an Apple-specific port, just like Lightning Bolt. That's Apple-specific. But what's nice is this does have an HDMI. So when I go hook it up to my test equipment, I'll just use an HDMI to VGA adapter, which is okay. So for speakers, I just plug it into the headphone jack right here, and it'll work. And this is the power button. If you look, it's all clean on the front. There's nothing on the front. That's one of the things I didn't like, is there were no USB ports on the front. But if you can get wires and drag it around the bottom and tape it up on the top if you had to. So the power is this right here. Not sure if you can see it or not. Ironically, the HP printers use the same type of cord. So if you have an HP printer that died and the cord on this dies, just swap it out for that. So anyway, I will hook this up. Let me find my HDMI to VGA adapter, and we'll get this thing going. I'll be right back. All right, so here we are at the testing station, and now I'm going to hook this up. So, for my particular setup, I'm going to need this. Now, I did this in my other video. This is a HDMI to VGA adapter. Now, if I was going to use a straight up HDMI cable, that also carries sound, so I wouldn't need to plug the audio cable into the headphone jack. But I'm using an HDMI to VGA, and this adapter does not carry sound. So what I'm going to have to do is plug that into the headphone jack, even though it is made for speakers. So now it's all hooked up except for the power, which I will do right now. So I'm going to place this on top of the testing PC here. I'm going to have it this way. So now what I got to do is I'm going to have to find power, and where to go? I had power here somewhere. Here we go. Okay, so now everything is hooked up. So I'm going to aim it at the monitor here with the camera. So I'm going to power everything on here. Alright, so I'm going to switch it over to 2 here. Alright, so nothing is on yet, so I'm going to turn on the monitor first, and now I'm going to power on the Mac Mini here. And you hear the startup sound. I forgot to hook network up. Alright, so when I bought this, the person who fixed it did a reset. So when you first get a Mac, that's what this is, it's going to show, okay, so I'm in the United States. US. I'm not going to do that right now, because, or should I? Eh. I could set that up. So now I have the option right now to transfer my data from a PC to a Mac. There's something called a migration assistant. It's on Apple OS X natively. You have to download it for Windows. And you can transfer all your data from a PC to a Mac. Now I'm not going to do that right now. That is for another video. This is just basic setup of it. Now there's something called Time Machine. What Time Machine is basically the Mac version of System Restore is what it is. And yeah. So I am agreeing to whatever the Apple terms and conditions are. Now this is a little bit different. I could set it up or continue, but if I remember correctly, when you continue, it gives you a really weird error code. Yep. So now it's creating an account. Now, if you notice, it kind of resembles like a Linux install. Because Linux is based off Unix, so is this. And I just realized I knew more about this stuff than I thought. All right. Now, when a Mac freezes, we call that the spinning wheel of doom. When it constantly spins. That is what they call it. So now, as you can see, my keyboard is working. You do not have to have an Apple-specific keyboard. Now, what would be the Windows key on this is what they call the Apple key. The problem is, it's not an Apple keyboard, it's looking for an Apple keyboard. Now if I go to Utilities, Migration Assistant is in there. Okay, so you're looking at this going, okay, it's a computer, it runs. This is Apple's stuff. Now, I'm a PC guy. So, a lot of stuff is a little different. Apple has something called an airport. It's basically a kind of like a wireless, I shouldn't say that, but it has something to do with network. I forget what it actually is at the moment. So, you have Safari here, which is Apple-specific browser. I know I did a review on the Windows version. Smart way to surf. So that works. You have something called Launchpad. Looks like Linux, right? You have Siri on here. I could go to System Preferences and I could change anything I would like. Disk Utility. This is like Check Disk in Windows. That's basically what this is. I'm basically, instead of the Check Disk command, it's this. You have something called a terminal here. Which is sort of like command prompt in Windows. And that actually worked. Huh. Normally it wouldn't. Now you have a console which is for networking purposes. iCloud. I can actually... There is a mode, I forget what it is right now, but you can have your iPhone with iTunes on it and have this. And if you pair them up, you could use your iPhone as a remote. But it only works with an Apple computer. And you have the App Store. It looks the same as on your iPhone. You have your photos. Then you have a MIDI setup. You have Boot Camp Assistant. Grab, which is a snipping tool. It's this in Apple OS X. So this is all the stuff that I need down there. Let's go to the Apple Store and see the App Store and see what I can get. Okay, so it's not allowing me to connect. Now, when you install something on this, it'll automatically defragment it. It's not like Windows where you have to manually defrag your hard drive. This will automatically do it after every installation. And you have something called AirDrop, which is like it's like you know, on your phone where you can share stuff. You walk past people. The Nintendo, not the 3DS has it. This has it too. I forget what the gaming term is for it. And you have your utilities right here. You can go there too. You have messages, you have FaceTime. What's cool about this is your FaceTime is an Apple specific, it's basically their version of Skype. I could FaceTime from my phone to here. Go to Finder. All my files. This is like the search in Windows. Now, if I want to eject something, super drive. Okay, so whoever did that had a super drive hooked up. Now, I bought this for $150. If I would bought this little machine would have been about $900 to $1,000. Now, to learn on it, this is good. Oh, also has its own maps. I forgot. Got its own map software too. And to turn it off, you go to the Apple. I'm going to do a restart because I want to let it run. So I'm going to click restart. Click restart. So that Apple button is their version of start. And as you can see, it's restarting. So now it's going to ask for my password. And now I'm back in. You notice how there's nothing here when I'm doing this? Oh, yeah, there is. Same thing, new folder, get info. So I'm going to change the desktop background. They call it background on here. It's called a wallpaper in Windows. I'm just going to use the default stuff for right now. There we go, it automatically applies it. So I'm going to exit out of here, and there we go. So, anyway, that's it for this video. Please comment, like, and subscribe.